Well, if you've ever wondered what happens to you when you have too many of those ushrooms, May, that's pig Latin, I'm about to tell you what happened to me. So, my cousin Josh and we had been utilizing small amounts of what some would call Mother Nature's sweet caress for quite some time. He was my trip buddy, still is. And it's a good time. Very enjoyable, very similar to the Lord's lettuce, right? But on this particular occasion, it was a couple years back, my other cousin and her fiance came over on 420. Turns out they're professionals when it comes to things that make your mind go to mystical places. They do it often. Now, I had just been to that crazy man in the woods and picked up a new batch. And he had warned me. He said, hey, be careful. These are a lot more potent than the last ones. I should have listened. So I divvy this out. It equates to about 6 of them OMGs a piece, right? My little cousin, the professional, tells me this is a good amount. We're gonna have a good time. So we sit down, divvy it out. I pop it in my mouth, chew it up, swallow. Figure I just throw it back, get it over with. And then I look over at my cousin, the professional. She's eating half of hers, which just made me nervous. What are you doing? And she said, I'm gonna see how it feels first. That's probably a smart choice. And so I'm nervous from this. I've got new people in my house that I normally don't do this with. Changes the dynamic, changes the way the brain thinks about it. I've had a mini gastric bypass, which means I process things a lot faster, especially things that you eat. And so mushrooms they hit a lot harder and a lot faster. And so I decided it'd probably be a smart idea once I started feeling my brain and my belly percolating for me to go to the bathroom and try to, get rid of some of these things that I've decided to eat. And so everybody else is sitting around the dining room table playing Cards Against Humanity. I go to the bathroom. I go in there and I try my damnedest to make myself empty some contents from my stomach. And it didn't work. And then I start to realize that my journey has begun. And I've now been in the bathroom for a long time. And I have guests at my house. And they're probably wondering what kind of gastrointestinal issues I have to keep me in the bathroom for so long. So I get up off the floor where I've been facing the toilet, scared, and I stand up. I turn around and I look in the mirror. Let me tell you, don't look in the mirror. So what happens is you get tunnel vision. So if you look in the mirror, you look at your pupils and they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and eventually you're lost inside of them and you realize that there's probably things going on back here that you don't want to know about. So don't do that. So anyway, when I'm finally done being trapped by the mirror, I exit the bathroom. Now I go out into my kitchen, and the way my house is set up, there is my kitchen sink, there's a bar, and then the dining room. So I go up to the kitchen sink. Everybody's still playing the game, having a good time. I'm gone at this point already. So as they're playing Cards Against Humanity, I start washing pans. Now, on the bottom of your pans, there are swirls. And so as I'm washing this pan, I get lost in these circles. And I just keep going farther and farther and farther. My cousin, who turns out she thinks she's quite the shaman, I guess, she coaxes me out. Come here, come back in here, come sit down, come sit down. And so I do. I finally go into the dining room and I sit down. They hand me my cards. I don't know what they thought I was gonna do with these cards. So I stared at them for a while in bewilderment. I had no idea what I was supposed to do with these. And eventually, I realized I'd been staring too long, and so I looked up. and my little cousin, her face is right there. And it's superimposed with butterflies. Like her face is still there, but I'm seeing some butterfly kinds of effects all over it. And so I get lost in it. And then after a little while, I realize that this probably seems weird, me just intently staring at my little cousin. I snapped out of it and I looked over, and my doors to my back patio are right there. And at the time, the wifey had these doors covered in stickers, but they weren't like helpful stickers. They were sugar skull stickers. These are scary little creatures when you've had too many mushrooms, May. And so I look over and I see them, and they're moving and they're gyrating, and I'm just going, because they were scaring me. And so my cousin convinced me that I should go to the living room. Turned on Zootopia for me to watch. This was fine. Oh, I'm sitting there watching Zootopia, and all is well until there's a scene that involves police lights and police sounds. Now, if you've ever had this kind of food, partook of this particular mushroom, May, you know what a loop is. And so these lights and sirens start, and my brain gets stuck in a loop. It's what they call ego death. It was a loop of who I could have been, who I'm not, and who am I? And so I'm stuck trying to figure out if I'm the next, kingpin of the underworld, or what house did I rob? Why are the cops here? And then I look over to the dining room where there's a bunch of my family members that keep glancing over at me and talking, and glancing over at me and talking. So turns out they were having an intervention because I was the kingpin of the underworld, and the cops were here to take me away. That's what I thought. I was pretty scared, and so I couldn't talk about this either, because I was pretty convinced that if I opened my mouth, my brain words would spill out without me being able to control them. So my wifey, who was completely stone cold sober, is in the kitchen cooking at this time, right? Just stirring some noodles or something. And she's concerned. She keeps looking at me, and I've got pleading in my eyes because I don't want to go to jail. And I can't talk to her about it, though. She keeps coming in and asking me what's wrong, but I won't open my mouth, because if I do, I can't control my words. She'll hear about my plots to take over the underworld or something. And so I'm stuck in this for a little while. And then my little cousin, again, thinks she's helpful. So she comes in and she puts a blanket on me, gives me a stuffed animal, and turns on EDM music. So I'm still stuck in this loop, but now I'm stuck under a blanket. I've got happening around me, and I'm freaking out even more. They go back into the dining room. The wifey said I was reaching out to her at times, but I couldn't talk, because I didn't want to share these word thoughts. So it was pretty strange, because I was stuck in it for quite a while, and then all of a sudden, it was done. And then I'm sitting on the couch trying to figure out what just happened. Because all of a sudden, my thoughts are mine. I'm not in this loop. I know who I am. I know who I'm not. It was quite the revelation. So, moral of the story, if you're not ready for this kind of trip, don't go on this ride. And if you're not following me, you should be. I'm a botanist.